Greetings everyone, I'm back with another Devo for y'all, and today we're going to look at a very odd story in the Old Testament. And this story can be found in 2 Samuel 6, and I will begin with reading it to you. And to give you some context, what's happened here is David has just become the king of Israel. And we're about to see one of the first things he does when he becomes king. David again brought together all the able young men of Israel, 30,000. He and all of his men went to Bala in Judah to bring up from there the ark of God, which is called by the name of the Lord Almighty, who is enthroned between the cherubim of the ark. They set the ark of God on a new cart and brought it from the house of Abinahab, which was on the hill. Uzzah and Ahio, sons of Abinahab, were guiding the new cart with the ark of God on it, and Ahio was walking in front of it. David and all of Israel were celebrating with all their might before the Lord, with castanets, harps, lyres, timbrels, sistrums, and cymbals. When they came to the threshing floor of Nacon, Uzzah reached out and took hold of the ark of God, because the oxen had stumbled. The Lord's anger burned against Uzzah because of his irreverent act. Therefore God struck him down, and he died there beside the ark of God. So that is a very intense story here. And when we first glance at it, we might think it's a bit harsh, because we're like, oh, he was just trying to save the ark. He didn't deserve to die. But there's actually a lot of red flags in this story that might be easy to fly over our head. And so the first red flag that we have is when we look at when this is happening. This has happened just as King David has become king. And it turns out that it's not an uncommon thing for religious artifacts to be used to help establish new royalty. So that's a very possible thing that David could have been motivated to do with the ark, was to use it for political prowess. The second red flag you have is how they're handling the ark. And if you've read the Torah, there's very specific instructions in there about how to carry the ark. And here, they were not doing that. They were using a cart, which is a bit important. And the third red flag is the span of time that you see the ark of God mentioned, because it's actually a very good deal of time in the Bible since this was mentioned. And so it's almost like they forgot what they were really dealing with. And then you have Uzzah, who has been in the house with the ark, and he should know more than anyone what would happen if you touched it. But of course he touched it, and now he got smoten. So it's still really weird. But when you think about it, it's like God giving his people this precious gift, a gift that reflects who he is in his presence. And they're around here just mishandling it, almost tarnishing it, really. And what happens, though, the story doesn't have an all bad ending, because David kind of realizes what he's done wrong, and he tries again, and it makes it successfully to Israel. But then you might ask the question, why am I telling you this story? And that's a pretty fair question, because it's still pretty weird. But the reason that what I see in this story is how we might tend to treat God. Especially for us who have grown up in the church, it's easy to hear Jesus, 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 God, God, God everywhere. And we're so accustomed to it that I think we forget who we're dealing with here. And sometimes we might even Disney-fy it, like the little mustard or ketchup shirts that say something about Jesus. And it's fun and all, but I think we're really forgetting that we're dealing with an all-powerful, all-loving, mighty God. And it's not the first time we might be forgetting who we're dealing with here, because obviously they didn't realize what they were dealing with. And we're not to use God for our purposes. We're not to use him for political gain, or to whip him out in an argument or something like that. We're not meant to use God. God is meant to use us. So what I want to encourage you guys to do is take some time to remember who our God is, what He's done for us, and then how instead of we use Him for our purposes, how we can be used for His purposes.